Hi and welcome back everybody. Today I thought we would do an update on something that my father-in-law had made us a few years back. I absolutely love it. So I thought maybe I would go ahead and paint this and do a couple little things to it. So this is a Lazy Susan. It's big. It's great. It works well. It just needs an update. So I normally don't feel as though I need to do any real prep work to using my chalk paint, but this does have a really shiny finish to it. So I'm gonna just roughly sand just a little bit, and then we're gonna go ahead and paint that. I'm gonna see what that looks like, and then from there I'm gonna create some kind of a design, find something really cool on Design Space, and then we'll get this done, and then we'll be able to use it in the family room. Stay with me. I'm gonna gather my supplies. The first thing that we're gonna do is do a little bit of a rough sand. Now I'm not gonna do a whole lot on this, but I do wanna get a little bit of this roughed up. Even though I normally don't have to do anything like this for chalk paint, this is a really super shiny finish. Think outside of the box when it comes to being creative. Use something from a thrift store or a garage sale that you really like, but just happens to be the wrong color or needs just something fun added to it. This can end up being fantastic gifts on a budget. You wouldn't be spending a whole lot of money, especially if you found it at a thrift store. I think that's pretty good. I think I'm gonna do white. I've got some white chalk paint here as well, and it's in a quart container. It hasn't been opened yet, so I'm going to get this open. I want to protect my surface here. And I'm going to get this all stirred up. All right, I've got my paint stirred, and I've got a brush. Give it just a little coat up the sides. I'll worry about doing the outsides later because I want to lift it up a little bit so I don't get it on my Cricut mat. All right, we're gonna let this dry. It does dry fairly quickly. We've got our first coat on the Lazy Susan. I'm gonna grab that and show it to you. So it did not cover completely, but the other thing I did was, let me show you this. In order to do the sides, I hung this off the edge and used my brush and went around and did all the sides. So that made that easy, so I wasn't worried about getting paint all over the place. But today we're wearing an apron anyway because I got paint on my socks yesterday. Don't ask me how. I got paint on my socks. So I have aprons, I may as well wear them. So we're gonna do the second coat on the Lazy Susan here. Once I get that done, we'll look at it. I'm gonna have a few little spots to sand. So let's go ahead and get the second coat on. Let's see what it looks like after that, and then we'll decide what we're gonna do as far as a finish on it. All right, I'm gonna get my paint opened. All right, I've got that stirred up. I'm gonna get my brush a little damp here, and let's get started. Off camera, I gave it one more coat of paint, and now it is just finishing up drying, and can definitely see a couple of spots where I'm gonna have to sand out the little bits that are in the paint. Now that this is drying, I'm going to get a couple of measurements, and then I'll get on Cricut Design Space and figure out what it is I want to make to put on the center of this. So we have got an 18-inch square. Obviously we are an octagonal, and I'm going to come up with some kind of fun design. I've got my design cut, and I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and weed it while it is on here, because I think it might be a little bit easier. So I've got my phrase all cut out now. I did this on the Cricut. This is permanent vinyl. Used some metallic vinyl as well and put some stars on here. It seems to me as though it's going to be a little small. The hard part is I could have made this larger, but when it comes to the circle, you can only have material that's just under 12 inches wide. I'd like to offset this if this does work, and we will just kind of have to see how things work out. I can always cut some of the vinyl off. So we could do something similar to this and kind of let the outside edge be a little bit freeform. I could always come in and put stars around here or some other thing if I wanted to, but I thought I'd try this and see what it looks like. So as of right now, we're gonna for sure be using the original piece. And what I did was I put this onto my transfer tape very carefully because I wanted it all to be one piece. Then I went and I took my stars and I applied those to my transfer tape too, so everything goes down at the same time. So now that this is dry, I'm going to go ahead and set this aside, and I'm going to do a little bit of sanding on this. Oh, that's coming right off. Wipe this off real carefully, and then we'll see what we've got. I'm going to Mod Podge the bottom and up the sides using a light coat, because what we need to do is protect this finish so that we can put the vinyl down. Don't need a whole lot. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit and dry. I'm gonna put on my fan here. All right, my tray is dry now. I have now found the center of my vinyl here. And what I do is I mark it. I fold it in half this way And then I fold it in half this way and just slightly crease it and then mark it. So here's my very center. Then I found the very center of my tray, which is here, and I went ahead and did some register marks over here as well. So I've got my centers here and here, so I can kind of try to line this up. And I don't have this on the transfer tape straight. You can see the line goes through the word and whatever, so I'm going to have to compensate for that. But all I should really have to do is find center, which is here, line that up, and then try to turn it just enough to where I can find my other register marks. Got one in the middle here. I've got one in the middle here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully pick this up. I'm going to release the transfer tape. Just a little bit. And I'm going to fold this down. And I'm going to lay down my vinyl. And then I'm going to very carefully pull back a little bit at a time. Pull back.
Now I know this may seem like a long clip with me attaching this to the tray, but I wanted you to see how you can recover when something starts going not as planned trying to get this down. So work it slowly. Make sure that you burnish over and over and over again to try and get it to release from the transfer tape. Also, if the transfer tape is brand new, you may want to take the sticky side and put it up against your pants or your sweatshirt a couple of times. This will help the stickiness to be not as sticky, and it may help the vinyl release from the transfer tape a little easier. Straight edge comes in very, very handy when you've got vinyl that has been misplaced or curled. It's easy to get up underneath that vinyl and be able to lift it and lay it down where it needs to go. Just be careful that you are not going to poke into the painted part that you just did. Go at it at an angle. See how I've got it almost laying flat? And then you can pull up on that without scarring your painted surface. I will have to say that this transfer tape was giving me one heck of a time. I had burnished and burnished this piece on that transfer tape prior to laying this down on the tray. Also, I had done exactly what my tip was to you by laying down the transfer tape onto my pants a couple of different times. I can't tell you what the deal is with this, but I do end up working through it and not having to trash it and start over. and then the entire bottom piece comes off very easily without any problems. Go figure. Can you see how I'm peeling the transfer tape up very closely to the lettering? I'm trying to catch any little piece of lettering or the stars to get them to come off of the backer so that I can lay this down easily. And never take this off the transfer tape all at one time. You'll have a nightmare on your hands. Do it a little at a time, just like I showed you. Now, when removing your transfer tape, I always pull it at an angle and I try to keep it as flat as possible up against the piece. As you see here, I am fixing a little bit of a boo-boo in the vinyl. I'm going up underneath it with a straight edge, and I'm just going to very carefully lift up that vinyl and replace it onto the tray.
Kind of free form, which I kind of like. That way you don't see any boo-boos. Now, before I do any more Mod Podge on here, I'm going to go in and fix a few little spots where there's pencil marks. I'm going to let this sit, and then we'll see if there's anything else we need to do before we do a final top on this. And then we'll be finished. All right.
After letting it sit, I decided it needed a few more stars to kind of fill in the space. So I added those, and then I did another 2 coats of Mod Podge as a nice sealer. And here's the final project. I'm really happy with it. I think it turned out really nice. I think it's something great that you can try too. Thanks for stopping in. We're going to have some fun.